Hey everybody, it's Rob from Rewind Video, and we're here with a mini episode. Bob, I wanted to ask you quickly about the animosity you seem to be holding towards Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
The elephant in the room.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
Well, I'm sure our listeners have picked up on the fact that Ferris Bueller comes up rather often when we're talking about our fine selections for the staff recommendation shelf.
Not only that, it makes you angry, it seems.
It does. Well, Ferris Bueller's Day Off is never going to make it onto the staff recommendation shelf on my side of the table. Now, I won't begrudge you if you decide to pluck it some week, but yeah, I've developed, particularly since getting a job at the store and taking on the task of stocking the shelf, a certain disdain for this movie.
It's an American classic. Right?
Yes, it is. I have to divorce myself from the public's perception of this movie, and I will agree with you. People love it. It's a popular one.
I mean, I'm a fan of it.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that some people could point to me and say, "Hey, Bob, you seem to be a fan of it too," because your Letterboxd review is a 4.0.
Yeah. How? Okay. Here we go. Here we come down to ratings philosophy and star ratings.
Yeah.
How do you rate your movies? Because I rate mine purely subjectively. Like, to me, a 5-star movie means it's one of my favorite movies. Not necessarily that a 5-star movie is, I think it's a great movie and then I don't like it. I would never give something, a movie I don't like, a 5-star rating. So are you rating Ferris Bueller? Are you saying it's a 4-star movie? Like, it deserves to be 4 stars and I hate it? Or what are you saying with that rating?
Well, there's two questions here. I'm going to start with the first one on my philosophy of ratings. And I am with you 100%. Purely subjective. I am not going to rate a 5-star movie 5 stars because the world thinks it's 5 stars. Like, yeah, everybody loves The Godfather, and most of America would put it at 5 stars. I don't feel obligated to put it at 5 stars just because everybody else does.
You don't give Godfather 5 stars?
We'll save that for another episode. But I will tell you that when I rated Ferris Bueller's Day Off, I did it differently than I do most of my movies. So my typical approach is I'm going to review a movie after I've watched it.
Yes, that seems to be
now
as opposed to before.
In the case of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, I rated this when I started my Letterboxd account.
Yes.
So Letterboxd is
I see what you're saying.
Is a platform that we both love, and it invites you to rate movies you've seen. So serves up a bunch of films, and you're like, well, I've seen that, and I can rate them all.
I'm glad this has turned into a philosophy of Letterboxd discussion because I see what you're saying, because I never fell into that trap. When you first start your account, you can fall into that trap where you start rating things.
Oh, yeah.
Before you have fully developed your rating system. And I will say that, like, I've definitely, like, when I first started rating things on a 5-star scale, it took me a minute to get used to it. But I definitely didn't want to go back and start giving star ratings to things that I hadn't seen, like, in the moment.
Right. And I did that with Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I reviewed this based on the memory of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, not the experience of actually having sat through it.
Because we grew up in the 90s. We came of age in the 90s. And, like, that was, like, we weren't around necessarily when it was, like, a new movie.
Right.
But by the time we were in, like, junior high school, it was like legendary status. It was like one of those things that, like, you aspire to be.
Right. Well, this was 1986, and I want to say that I saw it not long after it was released. Probably in, not necessarily when it was in the new release shelf at a store like Rewind Video, but it was. I was maybe like 2 years removed from it being out on video. And I watched it 1,000 times as a kid.
Yeah, skipping school is like an inherently cool thing.
Oh yeah,
he was like the coolest. Like I guess he was. I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily thought of him as a cool guy, but I think he was a guy that figured out the system, how to break the system.
See, that is, I think, the myth of Ferris Bueller as a character.
What's that?
Well, that he is a cool guy.
Oh, yeah.
And that he has figured it out. Because I think, upon rewatching this movie relatively recently, I felt like a fraud talking about it all the time. I mean, not rewatch. So I gave it another watch, and I maintain my point of view, which is he's a fake philosopher. He treats his best friend like shit.
Yeah.
He's generally a douchebag in public. We all knew guys like this in high school, and they sucked. And I think that, I don't know, I think that there's not a lot to like about this character. And the day that he has is casting a shadow over who he is as a person.
I think Cameron is the sympathetic character.
Oh yeah, Cameron's my favorite character.
Ferris
in this movie.
Bueller he's everybody's character. He's everybody's favorite character. I think Ferris Bueller he's the protagonist, but he's not the sympathetic character. He's not the character we relate to. He's the character, and like he's so like the pitch of the movie is like he's the cool guy that knows how to like whatever, but like the theme of the movie is like no, he doesn't understand like and. Poor Cameron is the victim in all of this.
He is the victim.
You know?
I do think there are a lot of people, and maybe I'm speculating, I think there are a lot of people that idolize the Ferris Bueller character in this and see Cameron as a bit of a loser and Sloane as the hot girlfriend.
I think those people are the ones that saw it when they were in junior high school like we did or elementary school or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And haven't like recontextualized it as adults.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
But I think like as an adult, you're like, oh yeah, Cameron's like this, the you know, the person I sympathize with here.
100%. The only redeeming facet of Ferris Bueller's character is the moment where he agrees to take the blame for the car going out the garage window and into the grass, and he says, I was the one that put you up to this.
But that's what so much of youth is like this fake bravado that just masks everything else. And that's what Ferris Bueller is. And everybody kind of needs, like Cameron needed Ferris Bueller to get him out, to like help him break out of his shell. Like otherwise Cameron's just sitting at home crying all day.
That's an interesting point.
I mean?
That's an interesting point. And I don't disagree with you that Cameron needed somebody.
We all had those friends as young people that were like, I don't necessarily think that person is somebody I would be friends with today, but like at the time of my life, like, yeah, okay, like we did what we had to do. And like that person got me somewhere.
Yeah. And I agree with you 100%. I had that friend in high school and just growing up who broke me out of my shell a little bit. But how big of a character Ferris Bueller is bothers me because it's so dramatic how he owns every moment that he's in and every scene and
yeah, but it's the 80s and that was kind of the point of the movie. So it's hard to argue with it. And you know, it's fun. It's a fun movie. They do cool things and like they do like things like even if like you can't relate to Ferris Bueller, or you can't like him as a person, at least you can be like if it was me and my friends in high school and we got to skip school, this is probably one of the things I would pick to do.
Well, I have thoughts on that because I think that. So let's talk about this just for a moment.
Steal a Ferrari and go to a Cubs game? Come on.
Well, I think that.
Come on.
I mean, yes.
Impersonate the Sausage King of Chicago?
In a vacuum, those two examples feel great. It's like, yes, I would love that. I would love exactly that. And, you know, we talked recently about Adventures in Babysitting, which gives you little doses of what I think Ferris Bueller is doing. But in every case, we're turning things up to 11. He's at a Cubs game, but he's not just at a Cubs game. He's catching a foul ball. He's trying to get into a fancy restaurant, but not just in a fancy restaurant. He's going to impersonate the Sausage King of Chicago. He's at a parade, but not just at a parade, in the parade.
In the parade.
Yeah.
I mean, but also that feeds into the theory of this movie that it's all Cameron's dream, right? Or he's died in the pool or something, and wasn't that one of the theories?
Oh, I don't know. I've never heard that.
Cameron, whatever. Okay, something to do with like Cameron like has died, and the rest of the movie is his death fantasy.
Interesting. You know, the antics that unfold over this movie and the day that they have definitely seems fun, albeit completely unbelievable. And again, that's another reason that I like some of John Hughes' other movies more because it feels more grounded in reality than this. But
it's very unrealistic.
Yeah. I think that my opinion of Ferris Bueller's Day Off has evolved since we've taken on the staff recommendation shelf because the shelf has cast a spotlight on just how many things this movie is trying to do, and
it hits a lot of themes, and I think that's one of the reasons you have grown to hate it is because every time we have a theme, it's like, wow, most of them fall into the Ferris Bueller's Day Off category.
Can I just read you quickly the themes that this fits into?
Please.
Hairdos and don'ts, road trips, competition, obsession, Cubs game.
Oh, well, sports in the stands.
Also on the list.
Yeah, you can't have both, I don't think.
I think there's a little bit of competition between... There's definitely competition between Ferris and the principal.
Okay.
Ferris and his sister.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Obsession, All in a Day, vehicle performances, 100%. Parades. Yes. Fun and games.
Parades is like any movie that falls into the parades category and breaking the fourth wall is like off the charts on our lists.
Yeah. There's also I think Bad Families because I think this is a bad family. Cool Jackets, Back to School, musical instruments. He plays like an oboe for a minute. Right. Sports in the Stands, you mentioned it. Title protagonists, Great Hats, and Breaking the Fourth Wall.
Amazing. I mean, it's like it's one of those movies that somehow like every time a category comes up, it's like this might fit.
Yeah, it's a lot. It feels to me like a brewery that you kind of enjoy their beer and they put up a variety pack in the store, and you're like, all right, well, I guess I'll try every one of these, and I'm getting a little something different every time, and they're all fine.
Somehow there's always a cherry wheat left in your refrigerator 6 months later.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think, I think what it comes down to is I enjoy Ferris Bueller. I think it's iconic, and I think it's iconic for a reason. I think there's legitimate gripes to be had with the character of Ferris Bueller and whether or not we should even like him or whatnot. But I think when it comes down to it is that I agree with you. This is a 4-star movie.
Well, much like Roger Ebert has done once or twice in his career, I'm going to change my review.
Reassessing.
Yeah, I'm reassessing. I'm going to drop this down for me to a 2-star movie.
That is obscene. That is obscene. I don't even know what to say with that, but I think that's a wrap.
Might
right?
Be a wrap.
That's a movie term.
That's a movie term. Yeah. And
it's
we're talking
wrap.
about movies.
It's a wrap. We're like a movie store, and we're gonna say that's a wrap. So yeah.
I like it a lot more than Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Ouch. So I'm Rob.
And I'm Bob.
And we'll see you next time.
We'll see.